Hello everyone, it's Jamal Thomas. Welcome to the Progressive Soapbox. I have a slew of shows that I want to do today, and so I may not necessarily linger on some of the smaller cases, but I will linger on some of the longer ones or the ones with more meat on them. This one doesn't have a lot of meat on it, so I probably won't necessarily linger. Before I go too far into this one, I have an amazing guest. Teslyn Figueroa will be on the show at 4 p.m. this evening. She's going to discuss the political hit piece that was put out against her and Nina Turner in Our Revolution, essentially using her as a bat to hit Nina Turner with. Well, Politico didn't reach out to her for a conversation or her side on this thing. But I will. And I want to delve into some of her politics and some of the other aspects, because I think her and we have similar politics. And so I find a kinship in having a conversation with her, and I think it's going to be an amazing conversation and not one to be missed. She's seen behind the scenes in regards to how this stuff works, and so this should be fascinating. She's been on Fox News more times than I can count. I even want to talk to her about that. So I want to have a ton of conversations with her about all sorts of stuff, including the Nina Turner stuff. We're going to get that one out the way first. That's going to be at 4 p.m. Eastern. Teslyn Figueroa, and I hope I'm pronouncing her name correctly. But for this one, let's talk about Mueller. Let's talk about the Russian case. And this one is maybe a week or so behind, but I'm catching up on what's been taking place in the court case because I was late to the court case to see what was been taking place. So I'm going to do these stories. We start off, a group of us, a staunch group of us, have been asking, where's the beef? If anybody remembers those old Wendy's commercials, where's the beef? You guys have screamed that Russia touched you inappropriately. Now, mind you, the FBI never got their hands on a computer, so we have to take the Democratic Party's word for it. But Russia went through their systems, hacked them, and attacked this democracy. Mind you, the democracy that's claiming it was attacked was the same democracy that literally destroyed another government. Iraq destroyed another government. Libya is trying to destroy another government. Syria, and it's instigating itself into all sorts of elections across the world, including in Venezuela, and there's one more in South America that has been instigating itself in. But nevertheless, we were supposedly besmirched. They besmirched our democracy. We've been asking, where's the beef? We've been saying this is nonsense. That at the end of the day, even if you do believe that Russia had Twitter and Facebook ads, even if you believe that, with over 50% taking place after the election, it had no effect. So even if what you're saying is true, it had no effect. And yet you have all of these people who need to invest themselves into this narrative for various reasons. The media has screamed about it for 2 years. The media hates Donald Trump because he consistently calls him fake news at every opportunity. And kind of backing up his claim that they're fake news, they print out a lot of fake news, especially with regards to attacking Donald Trump. Many of those stories they had to walk back. If you turn on CNN right now, I can almost guarantee you it's going to be something about Donald Trump. It's constant. It's ever ending. It's never ending. That's mainstream media, and that's how they've treated this Trump presidency. It's been something fundamentally different in the way they've regarded this president as opposed to other presidents. It is clear, it is apparent to anybody who's not a Democrat. I don't even like Trump, and I can see it. Democrats themselves don't quite understand why the woman who they say was the most qualified woman in the history of the world, in the history of the universe, if there was any other civilization that didn't have Hillary Clinton as their leader, then that civilization would be the worst for it. This is the way they've looked at this. In all of physical matter reality, this woman was the most qualified woman in the history of people, in the history of sentient beings. She was the most qualified. They don't understand how this woman, who's the most qualified woman in the history of all sentient beings in all of our physical matter reality, how she could lose to reality show hosts that got his kicks off of firing has-been celebrities on their apprentice. How could she lose to this maniac? And lose she did. All of these people they have something out of this. Their understanding of the world, their paradigm of the world is assuaged by having Trump win through some other means than just having Trump win. They don't understand it. They can't process it. So this idea of Trump and Russia, they love it. They bathe in the mornings. They bathe in it. They bathe in it. They listen to Rachel Maddow, looking for any new conspiracy that they can hit Trump with. They look into the news, looking for any new conspiracy that they can hit Trump with. And they walk around assuaged that the person who they invested their thoughts into didn't lose because she was a horrible candidate. Didn't lose because she chose Tim Kaine. Didn't lose because she didn't go to Wisconsin and didn't go to other states. Didn't lose because she ran the campaign as if she was doing the world a favor by being in this race. She didn't lose because she was giving speeches to Wall Street while she was supposed to be running for office, and she gave these speeches for a lot of money. She didn't lose for the things that she was telling Wall Street that she didn't want to tell the American public. She didn't lose because she was completely untrustworthy, because the public thought she was a liar, because of the email issue that she should have went to jail for, that she had an indictment sitting over her head as she was running for office. None of these things were reasons that she lost. She lost because of fucking Comey and because of Russia. And she sold it. And they ate it up. Just like people ate up hope and change. They ate up Trump and Russia. Donald Trump made some missteps in dealing with this in a political context. And one of those missteps was firing that hack Comey. This allows Mueller. The reason it allows Mueller is because the American public doesn't necessarily understand what's taking place on the inside of this. They just see the outskirts. They see a story in the media every now and then. They see something on the news every now and then. And at a certain point, if it's loud enough, they just see the outskirts. And they think to themselves, why is the President of the United States firing somebody in the FBI? Not thinking to themselves, maybe he's firing these people in the FBI not because he's a political hack, which he is, not because he doesn't think he trusts Mueller because he doesn't. Doesn't trust Comey because he doesn't. But because maybe he has a point that these people were political actors and that the FBI and CIA, these agencies of the government, were being used for political ends. They don't know that the same thing happened during the Jimmy Carter presidency. They don't know this stuff. They just see the President of the United States firing the person who's in charge of the FBI. So despite not having any evidence, they howl, they scream, and they get Mueller. Now, Mueller has a different intent or a different tint. At the very least, he looks different from the standpoint of what he's trying to accomplish. And as the guy who sold the Iraq War, getting millions of people killed, thousands of Americans killed, Mueller is now back from selling this tragic war that murdered all of those people to now sell this. The staunch guy who's essentially just in it to figure out the truth. Mueller comes out and says, I have Russians. My case is not just for shits and giggles. I found some fucking Russians. How do you like them apples? And we're going to indict those Russians. And he's loud about it. And there's those big splashy headlines. Mueller finds Russians. He found some Russians. And people like me ask the question, okay, who are they? And you find out that it was people who were doing Facebook and Twitter ads. And we laughed. We laughed. This is farce. This is theater. And then it gets more ridiculous at that. Because the truth of the matter is, Mueller never expected those Russians to show up. Those people were outside of the confines of something that he could touch. And he screams, we got our Russians. They're Facebook and Twitter trolls, meaning they're just writing Facebook and Twitter ads. Most of those ads happened after the election, but we found our Russians. Gonna get those fucking Ruskies. Problem. Some of those Russians showed up to court. And you get to see the theater and the farce when the people who are representing Mueller have to come out and beg the judge to not have the trial right now because they're completely incapable of taking on this trial because they had no expectation of the Russians to show up. They were outside of our jurisdiction. We had no idea they'd come back to contest this case. And not just contest the case. They have questions. They're pushing for discovery. We want to see what you got, buddy. You're saying that we're guilty. You're saying that us putting Facebook and Twitter ads is somehow controlled by Moscow. Fine. We want to see what you got. It is our constitutional right to see what you're holding. So yeah, we're putting out these discovery motions because we think your case is politically motivated and it's nonsense. What Mueller wanted to do was get the big splashy headlines. He wanted to scream about Russia, but he full well understood that the case likely would have never came to pass because they would have never came back because they were outside the jurisdiction. The problem is they did come back. And you got to see the comedic theater of this witch hunt when the prosecution, despite being the people who put the case up, saying, we're the people who filed the case, and yet has to go to the judge and beg the judge, we're not ready yet. We had no expectation of these people coming back. The judge gets annoyed by this and shoots this down and says, look, we are not going to give you an extension on this case, which is what the prosecution wanted. The prosecution filed the case. The prosecution himself was the one that filed the case. And the prosecution is the one who's also saying, we're not ready yet. We didn't expect them to come back. This is all theater. This is all theater. They wanted the headline, but they never wanted this case. The last thing they wanted is discovery. The last thing they wanted is to see all the stuff that they were holding close to their vest that they never expected to show. They never expected this to become an actual case. And these Russians are saying, we want our day in court. Well, Mueller and his team begged the judge for an extension. And in the end, the judge said, no, I'm not giving you squat. And the judge was somewhat annoyed, even by them asking for an extension. Let's see, Baltazar. Go figure, the guy who made a career of firing people and was celebrated as revered because of it, fired someone. That's like an angry at McDonald's for hamburgers. That's like being angry at McDonald's for hamburgers. Sorry, I know what you mean. Donald Trump made his habit on firing has-been celebrities, and Donald Trump fired Comey, and people are shocked that he fired Comey, even though he made his living off of firing people. All right, so this is Politico. Judge rejects Mueller's request for delay in Russian troll farm case. You bought the case, and despite you bringing the case, you're completely ill-prepared for this case to be tried. How sad. How utterly sad. Russian firm linked to Putin's chef accuses special counsel of pettifoggery. Pettifoggery. You were looking for any Russian that you can find, and you took it that Russia, or these people who were Russians, would never have come back to contest this case. You wanted to get the headline, and you wanted to justify your existence. And lo and behold, these Russians want their day in court. And not just want their day in court, they want to see what what I consider a political hatchet man, what you're holding close to your vest. I want to see it too. The American public wants to see it also. A federal judge has rejected special counsel Robert Mueller's request to delay the first hearing in the criminal case charging 3 Russian companies and 13 Russian citizens with using social media and other means to foment strife with Americans in advance of the 2016 presidential election. In a brief order Saturday evening, U.S. District Court Judge Dabney Frederick offered no explanation for her decision to deny the request the prosecutors made Friday to put off the scheduled Wednesday arraignment for Concord Management and Consulting, one of the 3 firms charged in the case. The 13 people charged in the high-profile indictment in February are considered unlikely to ever appear in the U.S. court. The 3 businesses accused of facilitating the alleged Russian troll farm operation, the Internet Research Agency, Concord Management, and Concord Catering, were also expected to simply ignore the American criminal proceedings. Last month, however, a pair of Washington area lawyers suddenly surfaced in the case, notifying the court that they represent Concord Management. Politico reported at the time that the move appeared to be a bid to force Mueller's team to turn over relevant evidence to the Russian firm and perhaps even bait prosecutors into an embarrassing dismissal in order to avoid disclosing sensitive information. Right there. Think about that. Essentially, this firm is saying, show us what you got. Show us what you got. You claim to have something on us. Show us what you got. Now, Mueller either hands over his case, shows him what he has, or he dismisses. And if he dismisses, oh my God, Trump is going to howl. On Friday, Mueller's prosecutor disclosed that Concord attorney Edric Dublier and Kate Selecki had made a slew of discovery requests demanding non-public details about the case and an investigation. Prosecutors also asked the judge to postpone the formal arraignment of Concord Management set for the next week. The prosecution set the delay on the grounds that it's unclear whether Concord Management formally accepted the court summons related to the case. Mueller prosecutors also revealed that they tried to deliver the summons for Concord through the Russian government without success. Well, they're standing right there with you. They made the discovery request. You're the one who initiated the case. You're the one who said they're guilty. You said they were guilty and didn't necessarily know what you were going to, how you were going to proceed with your case. You assumed that this was going to be a show trial. You assumed it was going to be a show trial. And lo and behold, there's a constitution. And there just so happen to be things that you need to pay attention to when you're accusing people of committing crimes, especially crimes as dubious and ridiculous as Facebook and Twitter has. This article is going to be at the bottom. I'm not going to keep this one all that long, but this is insane. Piano Man, if he dismisses, MSNBC would have to report that. If he dismisses Donald Trump, oh my God. Oh my God. Can you imagine? Donald Trump is going to be dancing naked in the White House lawn. Oh, I knew it was a fake. I told you it was fake news. They've spent 2 years screaming about this. And look at them when they finally get the one case to indict one Russian, any Russian that they can get their hands on. Something to justify Comey's existence and to justify the existence of all these media talking faces. It's dismissed when he gets to the real world case. Donald Trump is going to, he is going to fucking celebrate. He is going to celebrate. Thinking the man who lives by flirting with scandal won't do shit to create scandal is like paying Rhodes Scholar $30,000 a day in a lab. Lie, getting the truth. You're talking about Rachel Maddow. That's hilarious. Video game Vision Quest. The next election is just a few days. Everybody who can, please, please, please donate to Chelsea Manning and Kenneth Majah. Help get the word out. So these guys are running in the election. I think this is in California. Yeah. Help them out. I like Chelsea, and I like Majah. I think, if I'm not mistaken, he's running as a green. So, yeah. Agreed. I'll leave it at that. All right, guys. If you enjoy the content, please like. I'm sorry. I saw something at the last minute. It threw me off. Please like, share, and subscribe. And you can always support the work either through Super Cash or through Patreon. And I appreciate both. And by the way, I want to say, I usually start this at the beginning of my videos, but I'm going to say it here. There are very many people who support the content. They support it sometimes by sending stuff through emails, sending stuff either through Twitter and Facebook. Sometimes it's things that I didn't know, like articles. Sometimes it's giving me a heads up about something that I should be aware of based on my own perspective of things. Sometimes this is environmental. Sometimes this is humanistic. Sometimes these are matters of war. Sometimes these are things that people say on other shows that it's like, hey, did you remember this guy said this? It helps me tremendously. Like, my knowledge base has expanded tremendously just based on the audience itself pointing me in different directions that I otherwise would not have known to go into. You guys are like my feelers and my hands. You guys are like my eyes when I am, don't have the capacity to look at all this stuff. I want to say I appreciate it. I appreciate the people who donate either through Patreon or Super Cash. I appreciate the people who like and share my videos. And man, I appreciate even the people who actually send me stuff to say, hey, take a look at this and pay attention to this. All of you guys are appreciated. I am not great at saying, I'm going to have a show at 5 p.m. every day and stuff like that. I try to put out a large amount of content in order to make up for my deficiencies in other areas. Knowing that when I am in the mood to do shows, I do shows, and I try to do a lot of those shows. Look, this is getting all over the place. I just want to make a point. I appreciate you guys. Honestly, I can't have a show without you. And so, however you assist the show, it's amply appreciated. Thank you very much. I do these from time to time. I try to do these before I start each show saying thank you, but I really do. I appreciate it, guys. Thank you very much. So, and there's a few people like Wesley Walker. Thank you. Beldazar, thank you. I think Danny Knapp recently sent me like was talking on Patreon and so forth. Yeah, all sorts of people. There's, what is her name? She always sends me the environmental stuff. And the environmental stuff, I always think to myself, yes, this is a pertinent video that I need to show. Look, my point is, and I want to do the naming thing, because doing the naming thing, you always miss somebody's name. Jeff Kuntz, I can't go without saying Jeff Kuntz. Jeff has been sending me stuff since the beginning. My point, guys, is thank you very much. I I shouldn't have started naming anybody because I know I'm going to miss somebody and I can't think of her name. Amala. Is it Amala? I think it's Amala. Oh, thank you. That's all I'm saying. Thank you very much. I'm going to have videos. I have another one coming up after this. I'm going to trim these videos so they're not going to be as long when you see them when they go up, but it's the same video. Thank you guys very much. I'll see you guys in about 5 minutes. Have a good one.